In 600 meters, take exit Shirakawa-go interchange towards Shirakawa-go.
My wife's birthday was coming up and I hadn't planned anything yet. With all the recent changes in her life, I knew she could use a break. So at the last minute, I booked a winter getaway. No overthinking, just a spontaneous trip to make this birthday one to remember. This trip was a bit unconventional, which you will see in a bit. With barely any time to plan, we just went for it. An impulsive winter adventure to one of our favorite destinations, Japan. We planned to hop through a few towns in central Japan, making the most out of the limited time we have, and here's how it all played out.
After a 7-hour flight, we arrived at Haneda Airport. For this trip, we wanted to explore a place we had never been to before. We decided on Shirakawa-go and Takayama. But with only 2 days to explore central Japan, we had to be strategic with our route. Instead of taking the Shinkansen or a bus, we opted to fly to the nearest airport and rent a car, cutting down travel time significantly. Of course, this plan worked because we were on standby tickets. If we were paying full price, we probably wouldn't have done it this way. We had a short wait at Haneda Terminal 2 before catching our connecting flight to Komatsu, the airport we chose as our gateway to Shirakawa-go. As a small domestic airport, Komatsu had baggage claim, customs, and the exit all conveniently located in the same hall.
Just outside the exit, we spotted the car rental counter. We went with Nissan Rent a Car again. One thing we love is that if you go over 24 hours, they don't automatically charge you for 2 full days. This isn't sponsored, but this is our 3rd time using them, and we've been very happy with their service. From the airport, it was about a 2-minute drive, maybe even less, to their office, which is where all their cars are parked.
From Komatsu, we hit the ground running and started our journey towards Shirakawa-go. Google Maps estimated the drive to be about an hour and a half, but we made a few stops along the way.
Our first stop was for breakfast and a quick nap. With very little rest from the flights, I was struggling to keep my eyes open while driving. So we took advantage of the conveniently placed rest stops along the highway. You will see road signs leading to these stops marked with this symbol. Back on the road, the closer we got to Shirakawa-go, the more snow we started to see. The breathtaking views of the Japanese Alps made the drive even more special. This was another reason we chose to travel this way. Driving through the scenic countryside is something we truly enjoy and consider a significant part of the trip.
In 600 meters, take exit Shirakawa-go interchange toward Shirakawa-go. Continue for 1.5 kilometers.
Crossing the Deai Bridge from the parking area to the village, we had a few spots on our list to visit. Unfortunately, most of them were closed for the day, but we still managed to stop by the famous pudding house. But of course, just walking around and experiencing the village itself was more than enough for us. At the pudding house, we tried 4 flavors: mizu, chocolate, classic, and mochi pudding. As expected from an award-winning pudding shop, they were all incredibly smooth and creamy. Most people might like it as it's not too sweet.
Pagod na?
A little bit, but more cool.
Frozen nose, frozen nose.
Frozen toes, frozen toes, frozen toes. I got some frozen toes.
My nose still attached to my
Okay, just nice. Tripod. Okay, all the luggage. We haven't been to the hotel, so that's how it looks like. Hi, Tal.
We stayed in Shirakawa-go for about 2 hours, but with most of the village closing down, we grabbed some meat buns for the road and headed toward Takayama, where we would be spending the night. The drive took about 50 minutes. By the time we arrived, we were completely drained. Battered by the cold, running on nearly 24 hours without proper sleep, and worn out from all the traveling. Honestly, I was on the verge of getting sick. In our exhausted state, we completely forgot to take any videos of our room. So instead, here are some reference photos we found online.
The room was spacious for 2 people, and the price was surprisingly good for a ryokan-style hotel with a kashikiri-buru or private onsen. Right after checking in, at the lobby, you take off your shoes and leave it in the shoe lockers downstairs, as the floors from the ground floor up to the rooms were all tatami mats. Since we were in the countryside, most shops had already closed or sold out for the day. So for my wife's birthday dinner, we ended up with a kombini meal, yakisoba and famichiki from a nearby family mart. Not exactly fancy, but a memorable way to end the day nonetheless.
We started the day with a deeply relaxing onsen bath, something we missed the night before because we were completely knocked out. And after all the exhaustion from the previous day, this was exactly what we needed. This was our first time experiencing an onsen in Japan, so we made sure to follow proper etiquette. The hotel had 3 private onsens you can use at a first-come, first-served basis. The moment we stepped into the steaming water, we finally understood why people rave about onsens. The warmth seeped into our tired muscles, melting away every bit of fatigue, almost as if it had healing properties. It was both invigorating and soothing, leaving us feeling completely refreshed, recharged, and ready to take on the day. Now we totally get it. Onsen culture is an experience, a reset for both body and mind.
We checked out relatively early and skipped the optional hotel breakfast since we planned to visit the Miyagawa morning market instead. Before heading out, we got a look at the hotel's high-tech parking system. This building parks and retrieves your car for you. You just drive in facing forward, and when it's time to leave, the system flips your car around for an easy drive-off.
In 600 meters, turn left.
The Miyagawa morning market was just a 5-minute drive from our hotel, located along the Miyagawa River in the heart of Takayama. With a history spanning over 200 years, the market originally served as a place for local farmers to sell their goods. Today, it offers a glimpse into local life, fresh produce, and unique souvenirs. Definitely worth a visit. We found a nearby parking lot, but it was cash only. More on that later. A short walk from the parking lot brought us to the market. The first thing we bought was a bag of small apples, something we had never seen before. We also got to try dango for the first time. We got mitarashi dango, glazed with sweet soy sauce, and kinako dango, coated with roasted soybean flour. Both were delicious, warm, and perfect for the chilly weather.
Next, we went in search of Hida beef skewers and found a stall just across the river. Hida beef is a premium wagyu from the Hida region in Gifu Prefecture, famous for its marbling, tenderness, and rich flavor. We each got 2 regular Hida beef skewers since we were running low on cash. I could be wrong, but based on the marbling and quality, I'd say these were around A4 wagyu grade. They also had a more premium skewer at double the price, which I would assume was about A5. The stall itself looked like a simple barbecue stand, but the flavor? Incredible. These are legit and worth a try. If you're visiting, definitely have cash on hand. Many countryside shops are cash only.
We walked back along the river to grab coffee from a cozy cafe we had spotted earlier. It was a nice escape from the cold, with heaters keeping the space warm. The Café La Chaise is located inside the Kumikan, a furniture and lifestyle store. Right beside the cafe, we found handcrafted woodworks and specialty goods from the Hida region.
Then tried to go back to a shop that sold warabi mochi zenzai. I got interested in it because Big Mom and Otama from One Piece rave about it so much, although I think they were talking about oshiruko. Sadly, I ran out of cash and the shop only accepted cash or PayPay, which I didn't have. At this point, we realized we didn't have enough cash left for parking either. So here we are walking again, this time hoping to find an ATM. The first bank we tried closest to us only allowed withdrawals with a Japanese credit card, so we had to go to the nearest Family Mart on the opposite side of town. It started snowing again, and of course we had to capture it, because why not? Never mind that we were already running late for the airport. We finally got the cash, but completely forgot to film that moment. On the way back to the parking lot, we passed by a Hida beef sushi stand, and of course, we had to stop and try it. They served the sushi on a senbei, which was about the size of a small plate. And yes, it was really good. Hida beef wins again. Finally got out of the parking lot and raced against the clock towards Komatsu Airport. The drive alone was over 2 hours, but by the time we left, we had even less time than that before our flight. On top of it all, we still had to refuel and return the rental car, so every minute counted. And with the risk of missing our flight hanging over us, we had no choice but to push forward and hope everything went smoothly. With a sigh of relief, we finally made it, arriving just over 30 minutes before departure. Thankfully, Komatsu Airport was small, and with Japan's signature efficiency, check-in and security were surprisingly quick and hassle-free.
We decided to have dinner upon arrival at Haneda Airport since we knew we'd be calling it an early night. Looking back, this was probably our first proper sit-down meal since landing in Japan. We had been constantly on the move. From Haneda, we took the monorail to Hamamatsucho Station. It was our first time taking the monorail from the airport to the city, and it was fast, comfortable, and had plenty of space for luggage. From Hamamatsucho, we took a cab to our hotel, an economical yet comfortable way to balance cost and convenience. We arrived at Hotel Maestay Skanda, situated in a quiet area within walking distance of Akihabara. We ended the day with a quick Family Mart run for some okashi, aka junk food. For our last couple of days in Tokyo, we decided to take things slow and go without a set agenda, just exploring, catching up with a friend, and enjoying the city at our own pace.
Our morning started with a search for good coffee near our hotel, which led us to a small cafe called Next Spec Coffee. With an impressive 4.8 star rating on Google, we had to check it out. And let's just say it did not disappoint. In fact, it might be one of the best coffees we've ever tried. Their milk-based coffee was perfectly balanced with distinct flavor notes that were not too overpowering, not too fruity, nor too bold. Just smooth, rich, and incredibly satisfying. The cafe itself was cozy, calm, and quiet. A place designed for simply enjoying a great cup of coffee. If we ever find ourselves in the area again, we'll definitely be back. Of course, no Tokyo trip would be complete without my pilgrimage to Drum Station in Akihabara. Next, we headed to Yodobashi Akiba on a mission to find the elusive and always out of stock Osmo Pocket 3. Good thing they had it in stock. Here you don't just grab the item, you take a product card and present it to the cashier. The price was about 100 Singapore dollars cheaper in Japan compared to Singapore, so it was definitely worth the hunt. While we were there, I also checked out some lenses for my main camera. Yodobashi is basically a tech lover's paradise. 9 floors of pure gadget heaven. I was like a kid in a giant tech candy store.
Before heading to Jiugaoka to meet a dear family friend, we made a quick stop for takoyaki and chocolate taiyaki. Perfect street food snacks. The takoyaki were made fresh and were piping hot. A sign at the stall warned us to be careful, and they weren't kidding. The first bite was scorching, but absolutely delicious, packed with rich umami flavor. The fish-shaped taiyaki was slightly crispy on the outside with a gooey melted chocolate filling. It was the perfect pairing to our savory treat.
Gifu, located in Meguro, is a residential area with a charming mix of quaint restaurants, cafes, and boutique shops. We took a stroll through the neighborhood before visiting our friend's home. And afterwards, she brought us to Torisho, a local yakitori restaurant. The meal was incredible. We had an assortment of charcoal grilled chicken and vegetable skewers, karaage, egg omelette, and a comforting bowl of oyakodon. Alongside the food, we tried Yamahai Junmai Sake, known for its rich, full-bodied umami flavor and smooth complexity. It was a real treat. A slow, simple, and fulfilling day in Tokyo.
With only a few hours left before our flight, we didn't have much planned. Just two goals: good coffee and sushi. For coffee, we didn't want to overthink it. So we went back to Nexpect Coffee to try some of their other milk-based brews. Once again, they delivered flawlessly. Every sip was smooth, rich, and satisfying. The perfect way to start our final morning in Tokyo.
Next up, sushi. Surprisingly, we hadn't had any sushi on this trip yet, so we made sure to get our fix before heading home. Usually we'd go to Sushi Sanmai in Tsukiji Market, but with limited time we opted for the nearest sushi spot instead.
あれ全部7だけどいい
The sushi set at Ginzo hit the spot, though in our books, Sushi Senmai remains our favorite. With a little time left, we squeezed in a quick Yodobashi run to grab a recorder I had forgotten to buy the day before. On our way there, we noticed a huge crowd gathered outside. Curious, we checked it out. Turns out, it was some kind of a Pokemon spawn spot. Not sure exactly what dropped in that area, but it was wild seeing that many players are still going strong in 2025. Any of you guys still playing?
We didn't see a whole lot during this trip, but honestly, that was our goal. No strict agenda, no must-visit checklist. We were content just being in Japan, enjoying the cold weather, the change of scenery, and a different way to celebrate my birthday. We explored what we could and were happy to soak in the experience. And with that, it was time to head to the airport and say our bittersweet goodbye. We're not sure when we'll be back, hopefully sooner rather than later, but for now, that's a wrap on this trip.
We hope you enjoyed this quick winter getaway as much as we did. Until next time.